Good morning, everyone. I'm Lisa Klinghoffer, and this is my sister, Ilsa. We are both honored to be with you here today, our ADL family, because we do feel your family. This October will mark 40 years ago since our father, Leon Klinghoffer, was brutally murdered by Palestinian terrorists while he and our mother, Marilyn, were celebrating their 36th wedding anniversary aboard the Achille cruise ship. Our father was an elderly, ill, and in a wheelchair, yet was targeted by these terrorists because he was an American and he was a Jew. Following his brutal murder, our family partnered with the ADL to found the Leon and Marilyn Klinghoffer Memorial Foundation, which remains an essential part of our life's work today. Years before 9/11 and 10/7, we have worked to make sure policymakers, law enforcement, and the public know the human face of victims of terrorism and their families. As part of the foundation, we established the ADL Klinghoffer Award to celebrate individuals who have made an outstanding contributions toward combating anti-Semitism and securing justice. Past recipients have included Secretary of State George Shultz, Stuart A. Levy, the 9/11 Commission, and the former Assistant Secretary of State for Human Rights, Richard Shifter. And this year, we will recognize for the first time an individual who has used the judiciary to fight terrorism.
We are so honored that this year's Klinghoffer Award is going to Argentine Judge Carlos Mahiques for his landmark ruling regarding the Iranian regime's role in the 1994 bombing of the AMIA Jewish Community Center in Buenos Aires, which claimed 85 lives and injured hundreds more. We do not believe justice was served in the Achille Lauro hijacking and our father's murder. The terrorists were allowed to escape or served very light jail sentences. And to be sure, the families of the victims of the AMIA bombing have spent 30 years demanding action and justice. Judge Mahiques' actions marks a pivotal step in that fight. His dogged pursuit of justice and unwavering commitment to ensuring those responsible for the horrific AMIA bombing are held accountable, including members of the Argentine government, serves as a beacon of hope and a reminder of the persistent need for legal avenues in the fight against anti-Semitism and terrorism. We now want to invite Ambassador Marina Rosenberg, ADL Senior Vice President for International Affairs, to join us in presenting the 2025 Klinghoffer Award to Judge Carlos Mahiques. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ilsa and Lisa, for the introduction. It is an honor for me to stand on the podium with you. Thank you for your family's commitment to ADL and to the fight against terrorism as reflected in this award. As was mentioned, this year marks the 40th anniversary of the murder of Lisa and Ilsa's father, Leon Klinghoffer, by Palestinian terrorists. This past year also marks 30 years anniversary of the bombing of the AMIA, the Jewish Center in Buenos Aires, by Iranian-backed Hezbollah terrorist organization, which claimed the lives of 85 innocent people and injured hundreds. For 30 years, through investigations, false starts, and cover-ups, the perpetrators have yet to be brought to justice. In July 2024, our CEO, Jonathan Greenblatt, led an ADL delegation to Buenos Aires, where ADL, together with our J7 partners and other global Jewish leaders, stood with the Argentinian Jewish community at the moving commemoration ceremony to say, presente. We are here and we will not forget. And that is why it is so significant for me to have the honor to introduce today's Klinghoffer Award awardee, Judge Carlos Mahiques, who has played a pivotal role towards bringing those responsible for the attack to justice, and a small amount of closure for the victims and their families. Judge Mahiques has had a long and distinguished legal career. He has served as a judge in the Criminal Oral Court and the Buenos Aires Cassation Chamber Court. In 2015, he was appointed Minister of Justice of the province of Buenos Aires and was later appointed as a judge of the Federal Chamber of Criminal Cassation. Judge Mahiques has won several awards through his distinct career and has authored a number of important books and articles. In a capacity as a federal judge, in March 2024, Judge Mahiques wrote a majority opinion confirming convictions for a slew of Argentine government officials and members of the judiciary involved in covering up the attack. It also affirmed Iranian responsibility for the bombing, specifically pointing to the involvement of high-ranking Iranian regime government members and Hezbollah operatives. Judge Mahiques' ruling was a significant milestone in the 30-year effort to hold Iran and Hezbollah accountable for this horrific attack. During ADL's July's visit to Argentina, we met with families of AMIA victims and heard their desperate call to rectify Argentina's miscarriage of justice. While there is still a long path until justice is fully served, Judge Mahiques' ruling on an issue that has been repeatedly covered up and ignored is an important and courageous step forward and speaks to the need of courts to hold terrorists and their supporters fully accountable. As the Iranian regime As the Iranian regime continues to threaten violence against Israeli and Jewish targets around the world, the international community must support efforts by Argentina and others to ensure Tehran is held fully accountable for their horrific crimes and prevented from carrying out any further attacks. If you will permit me to take a moment, I will address Judge Mahiques in Spanish. Estimado juez Mahiques, como argentina e israelí, me siento honrada y agradecida de ser quien le entrega este premio, which means as an Argentinian and an Israeli, I'm honored and grateful for being the one to give you this award. For his courage, integrity, and unwavering commitment to justice, it is my honor and privilege to present Judge Carlos Mahiques with the 2025 Klinghoffer Award.
Good morning. I would like to begin by expressing my sincere gratitude for this award, which is both a recognition of my work and my testament to my commitment to a cause and to values shared with the Anti-Defamation League. I would like to extend my heartfelt appreciation to Lisa and Ilsa Klinghoffer, who, as representative of Leon and Marilyn Klinghoffer Memorial Foundation, and heirs to their legacy, enhance with their presence the significance of this event. It is truly a source of immense pride and deep gratitude to receive this distinction from the ADL. I acknowledge the invaluable and tireless work of its CIO and National Director, Jonathan Greenblatt, its Senior Vice President for International Affairs, Ambassador Marina Rosenberg, and the entire organization in the fight against discrimination, anti-Semitism, and all forms of extremism. The ADL political, cultural, social, and legal efforts in this field are globally recognized. They can be attested by their recent actions against Iran, Syria, and North Korea on behalf of those targeted in October 7th. ADL's unwavering advocacy has contributed significantly to raising awareness that anti-Semitism should not be seen merely as an issue for Jewish communities, but as a responsibility of states whose societies must actively engage in the fight against all forms of hate speech and discrimination. As for myself, I am the author of a ruling that became a matter of state. As a president of Argentina's highest federal court of appeals and presiding judge in the AMIA case, I declared with a strong and assertive language the responsibility of the individuals involved in the organization, planning, and execution of the most horrific terrorist attacks suffered by our country, but also, and for the first time, the criminal responsibility of the state as a terrorist state, which was officially declared unaccountable for crimes against a sovereign nation. The ruling of April 11, 2024, conclusively determined that both terrorist attacks in Argentina, AMIA and the Israeli embassy 2 years before, had been carried out by members of the Hezbollah terrorist organization with the sponsorship, training, logistics, and financing from the then government of the Islamic Republic of Iran. In this context, and as a direct consequences of the ruling, the Argentine Congress recently passed a law on trial in absentia, an alternative and useful legal instrument that prevents the impunity of the authors, instigators, and accomplices of heinous crimes. The terrorist attack against AMIA was a tragedy for Argentina and for the world. Terrorism is not merely a security or legal issue. It is primarily a political one, which, as a judge, I analyze like an archaeologist, tracing its remnants and reconstructing its original design. In such an endeavor, we cannot afford errors. The fight requires courage. As Vladimir Yankelevich wrote in 1947, Courage is a virtue of the moment, the decision of choice, of the intention that defines action. It's an individual skill built over time and tested through experience. It is not an isolated singular act, but a constant enduring disposition of character to confront evil and its consequences. And that is why my final words go to the victims. My most humble tribute to those who, with supreme courage, keep on fighting in silent heroism. It is not only about seeking the truth, but also speaking truth. This is what enables us to live in accordance with we are and what we stand for. I'm humbled and honored to be the recipient of 2025 Klinghoffer Award. Thank you very much. Muchas gracias.